I've owned Silverhorn Lake for 2 decades, 400 acres of sparkling water surrounded by rolling pine forest. My family's cabin sits on the north shore, far from the highways and subdivisions that have been creeping closer every year. At first, I didn't mind the newcomers, folks looking for peace and quiet, same as me. But then came the Pineview Shores HOA and their so-called visionary president, Ken Caldwell. Ken's HOA bought a chunk of land on the far side of my lake, turned it into a luxury resort with rental cabins and fancy lakeside weddings. I stayed out of it, live and let live, as long as they stayed on their side of the water. But last year, I came home from a week-long fishing trip to find a brand new bridge stretching right across the narrowest part of my lake, connecting Ken's new luxury cabins to the main road that runs through my forest. I nearly flipped my truck when I saw it. No one had asked permission, no easement, no purchase, just concrete pylons sunk straight into my lake bed. They'd decided my private water was their new shortcut to their resort, so their rich guests didn't have to drive the long gravel road around the south end. I called Ken. He acted like I was the unreasonable one. He said the bridge benefited the community. He offered me a token check, not even enough to cover the survey he should have paid for before he built it. He told me to be neighborly. Neighborly, huh? So I called my lawyer. Then I called the county. Then I called the state environmental office. Turns out, Ken didn't get the right permits for the bridge's water impact either. But while the legal wheels turned, his guests kept pouring in, trampling my land, throwing trash in my lake, fishing where they pleased. So I decided if Ken wanted to cut corners, I'd cut something too. A month later, under cover of darkness, I drove my old tug out from the north dock. It's a rusty beast, but it's got a diesel engine that could pull a house off its foundation. I hooked 2 steel cables to the main support pylons, the same pylons driven illegally into my lake bed. Then I opened the throttle. Concrete cracked like thunder. The bridge shuddered once, twice, and then the whole middle span crumbled, sliding into the water with a groan and splash that echoed off the pines. Next morning, Ken showed up at my gate screaming about vandalism and lawsuits, but I'd done my homework. His bridge was illegal, built on my land, across my private water. The sheriff, the county, the state, they all backed me up. I even sold the scrap concrete to a local company for fill. But I wasn't done. Ken's HOA had a second bridge, a fancy $5 million one leading directly to the resort's main lodge. That bridge did sit on their own land, but the only road that fed it crossed a 50-foot strip of forest that still belonged to me. So I did what any wronged landowner would do. I revoked their access easement, put up a steel gate, and dug a trench the size of a swimming pool right across the drive. No more traffic to that bridge. The resort went from fully booked weekends to silent cabins overnight. Ken tried every trick to get me to back down. Threats, legal letters, even a lowball buyout offer. In the end, the HOA had to shell out millions to reroute their main road through rocky backcountry. They abandoned the bridge that cost them so much, and now it sits empty, a monument to what happens when you forget to ask permission from the man who owns the lake. As for my side, I fish in peace again, no bridges, no tourists. Just the sound of loons at dawn and a private lake that stays private, the way it's always been.